This is Ford in Vegas, a true crime podcast for the ages with two friends who hate each other. I'm Ford.
I am Joey, the best podcaster ever, Vegas.
How was your week, jerk off?
Well, it was pretty good there,
Good.
jerk off.
Good.
Yeah.
If you're watching on YouTube...
I'm going to do this because you hate that.
I love that. No, I love that. That makes my skin crawl.
Oh, I'll never do it again.
If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and don't forget to like the video. Show them, Vegas.
So you could put the thing over my thumb again?
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
Also, if you are on the go, you can subscribe to this show as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're listening to the podcast, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And if you want to watch this show, you can do so at fordinvegas.com and then simply click on the YouTube link. This show is in podcast. This show in podcast form, is ad-free for just $3 a month, which goes to supporting the show and my drug habit and Vegas's aptitude for strip clubs. Simply go to patreon.com/FV True Crime. And if you want to buy a Ford in Vegas shirt, you can do so at shopfordinvegas.com. For the ladies and the men, we always recommend the premium soft tea. It's the highest quality. And lastly, you can follow this show on Twitter and Instagram at FV True Crime. And with that being said, Vegas, we're off to the races tonight with an action-packed show.
Action-packed? Are we going to be fighting each other?
We might.
Good.
We might come to blows.
I mean, that would be entertaining.
We have the story of the now disgraced South Carolina attorney, Alex Murdaugh. We got a Michigan family that'll never be the same again. Casey White is back in the news. We have a California woman who did something that most people don't do. And we have a solved cold case for the week. So there you go.
That sounds like a very exciting show.
Yeah. So we'll start tonight with Alex Murdaugh, because, you can't spell Murdaugh without M-U-R-D, and you can't spell murder without M-U-R-D, and he was officially indicted today on murder. Who did he murder? You're probably wondering, Vegas. He murdered his wife and his son.
Nice guy.
Nice guy is absolutely correct. You know what? They say nice guys finish last. This guy is in some deep, deep shit, Vegas. He's now a disgraced South Carolina, or as we like to say, South Kakalaki attorney, Alex Murdaugh. And in 2021, his wife and son were murdered. And just today, he was officially indicted. The once prominent, now disbarred attorney was indicted this morning on 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime, according to South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson and South Carolina Law Enforcement Division Chief Mark Keel. Margaret Maggie Murdaugh was 52, and their youngest son, Paul Murdaugh, was 22. And they were found shot to death on the family's property in Islandton, which is about an hour north of Hilton Head Island, the night of June 7, 2021. Alex Murdaugh, he's the one who placed the 911 call reporting the shooting, saying that he just returned home and discovered their bodies. Murdaugh, as a pillar of the South Carolina legal community, has denied any involvement in the death, saying that he had been visiting his mother at the time. Alex wants his family, friends, and everyone to know that he did not have anything to do with the murders of Maggie and Paul. He loved them more than anything in the world, end quote, was Murdaugh's attorney, Dick Harpootlian, and Jim Griffin said in a statement today. The attorneys blasted the latest development in the case. It was very clear from day one that the law enforcement and the attorney general prematurely concluded that Alex was responsible for the murder of his wife and son. So, Vegas, I have a little backstory on this guy. Do you remember when this news hit last year?
Yes. They assume that because of one of his cases or something, somebody killed his family.
Oh, yes. So Harpootlian and Griffin said that they will file a motion for a speedy trial, requesting that the Attorney General turn over all evidence within 30 days as required by law and demanding a trial within 60 days of receiving that evidence. Keel called the indictment, quote, one more step in a long process for justice for Maggie and Paul, end quote. Over the last 13 months, SLED agents and our partners have worked day in and day out to build a case against the person responsible for the murders of Maggie and Paul and to exclude those who are not. At one point, did agents lose focus on this investigation? At no point, I should say, not one point. No point did agents lose focus on this investigation from the beginning. And I have have been clear, the priority was to ensure justice was served. So Murdaugh right now is being held behind bars in Columbia, South Carolina, on a $7 million bond.
Jesus.
Facing a slew of charges for alleged financial crimes. A bond hearing on the most recent charges will be held Wednesday morning at the Colleton County Courthouse before Judge Clifton Newman.
Wait, he's held on a $7 million bond just for financial crimes? Has nothing to do with the murder?
The alleged financial crimes are tied in part to allegations that Murdaugh stole millions in death settlement funds from the family of his late housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield. South Carolina authorities opened an investigation into Satterfield's death last year. She died at Murdaugh's home in 2018 after what Murdaugh described as a trip and fall accident. Questions about her death and how it was handled emerged last year. Expected but still shocked, Eric Bland and Ronnie Wright, attorneys for Satterfield's family, said in a statement referring to the new indictment. Just another shameful chapter in the downfall of an evil man, devoid of morality. What is sad is the amount of victims that are in his wake. Clients, family members, law partners, colleagues, friends. Alex was an equal opportunity victimizer. According to SLED, or SLED, Murdaugh coordinated with her family to sue himself and reach an insurance settlement, saying that he would give the family the proceeds. However, he secretly deposited about $3 million of that money into an account that he owned. So, how did we get here? How have they pinned the deaths of his wife and son on him? It's real simple. A source with knowledge of the investigation into the death of Alex Murdaugh's wife and son told CNN that blood splatter found on his clothing could place him at the scene of the killings of his wife and son. The blood splatter could place Murdaugh in close contact with at least one of the victims when they were killed. High velocity splatter is associated with the use of a particular weapon, such as a rifle, and it creates a specific blood pattern, especially when used at close range. In addition, a phone belonging to Paul Murdaugh was recovered on his body, containing video and audio of Alex Murdaugh talking with his wife close to the time that she and Paul were killed. Alex was not seen on the video, but he is heard speaking with her, and that recording has a timestamp. So they're already poking holes in his "I was at my mom's." Murdaugh, scion of a power political family in South Carolina's Low Country, last June called 911 to report that his wife and son had been shot outside of their home. The investigation into those deaths has led to unexpected twists. The reopening of an investigation to a 19-year-old's unsolved 2015 death, Murdaugh's resignation as an attorney for a prominent legal group, an admission that he struggled with opioid abuse, and dozens of charges accusing him of stealing money from clients. In one bizarre incident, Murdaugh in September called police to report that he had been wounded by a gunshot to the head. He soon admitted that he had conspired with another man to fatally shoot him so that his surviving son would collect a $10 million life insurance payout. The South Carolina Supreme Court issued an order Tuesday disbarring Murdaugh, having suspended his license to practice law in the state in 2021. So, Vegas, we have obviously been talking about a lot of crimes over the last, this is now 13 shows that we have done here. This is Ford in Vegas, a true crime podcast. And not many, maybe half and half, are as slam dunk as this one's going to end up being.
I mean, it sounds like they have enough as evidence.
Blood splatter, video on a cell phone, the guy and the kid's cell phone who's now dead.
But my question though is, dude, you're already going to jail for the financial crimes on a $7 million bond. That's ridiculous. A $7 million bond for just financial crimes, even though obviously he stole millions supposedly. But you know, so I assume that he knew that this was probably going to come down at some point, because usually for financial crimes, it's not just oh, hey, we're arresting you. Like, you kind of know it's coming type thing. So your solution is to kill your wife and kid, one kid, not the other kid, because the other kid probably wasn't home. But you went and said you're going to kill your wife and kid. Like, just kill yourself, bro. Like, what is killing your wife and kid doing? Like, did you have I mean, obviously we don't know at this point, but did you hate your wife? Were you cheating on your wife?
Is this like a Hillary Clinton kind of thing? Like, the wife knew where some, bodies were buried, so to speak.
I mean, maybe. But
so in an effort to continue to hide it, he pops her, and the kid just happened to be home. He pops him too.
I mean, that screams just idiocracy. Like,
wow. I mean,
like,
he's not thinking clearly anyway.
Well,
as it is.
I mean, obviously,
the walls are closing in. You know the old saying, desperate times call for desperate measures, or desperate people do desperate things in desperate times.
Yeah, so kill yourself, because he tried to have somebody kill him.
That was after.
Well, I know. So you had someone try to kill you because you didn't want to kill yourself because you wanted your oldest son to get the life insurance.
So odds are that he killed this nanny.
Well,
come on, trip and fall.
I mean, that happens a lot.
I mean, that happens
all the time.
That happens, but now we're also talking about a guy who would later kill his wife and son. So,
allegedly,
why wouldn't he kill a nanny? A nanny ain't shit to him.
Allegedly, kill the nanny and the wife and son, because he's not convicted yet.
Oh,
so,
God, why do you have to nitpick?
Because he might not. There might be evidence that shows that he didn't do it. No. It doesn't sound like it.
Yeah,
but you can't. Dumb. You have to use allegedly.
I don't have to use shit.
Yeah, legally you have to, because honestly,
I'm not in trouble.
He could sue us.
I hope he does.
He could sue us for millions.
He won't have a chance because he's guilty.
Yeah, well, doesn't matter.
He's a guilty ass.
He could sue us for millions for tampering with his case, saying that he murdered his wife and son when he in fact allegedly did. He did not. He's not proven guilty yet.
I am willing to bet that he did, and I'm willing to bet that he played a role in the dead nanny, because if he had not played a role, he wouldn't have stolen the money.
That's not true.
That's not true? You think that she ends up dead?
She tripped and fell, and then he didn't want to pay the money, okay? But he did the quote right thing by saying, "Okay, I'm going to pay this money to her family."
But then he stole it.
Well, he stole a portion of it.
He stole almost $3 million of it.
Well, that was only a portion of it.
And then he killed his wife and his kid.
Well, this is way after, though.
This is just a couple of years. This guy's life's been falling apart for a couple of years
Yeah,
now.
but I think the nanny died like
2019.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a couple years ago.
Well, he killed his wife 2 years later.
But I don't think she did, because if he killed the nanny, wouldn't you think they would have kind of...
Well, here.
Unless he did it very well and they didn't believe that he killed her.
Do you know what they're doing?
Well, they're going to probably exhume the body.
They're exhuming the housekeeper's body. And now they're going to find out.
But I doubt it. If they didn't have enough evidence at the time, they're not going to find new evidence.
Well, if they thought that, they wouldn't be digging her up.
Well, this isn't 1930.
They're going to dig her up.
This is not 2019. This was before the pandemic.
All right, so what odds are we going to put on this, Vegas?
What, that
he
killed?
Pretty adamant that you don't think he killed the nanny.
I'm just saying, if the cops didn't think at that point that he did not kill the nanny,
all right, so that's fine.
That means that they didn't think they had enough evidence for charges, let alone able to arrest him.
All right, so if I'm a bookmaker,
mm-hmm.
and did he kill the nanny? Okay.
Yeah.
Did he? That's not the right. That's not the right word. Did he kill the nanny? I'm writing this down for those of you not watching on YouTube. Did he kill the nanny? I'm going to say yes is minus.
No, yes would be plus like 200.
You think the odds are, even after knowing that he more than likely killed his wife and kid, we're still going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he didn't kill the nanny.
Yes, because they didn't originally charge him in that death. They did not think that he did it at the time.
I know, but these sorts of things where they dig up the body and they're like, you know what? On second thought,
this is 3 years before the autopsy was already performed on her.
We don't know.
Assuming.
We don't know.
Well, okay, but then the cops that came to the scene did not suspect foul play, because most of the time, if they suspect foul play, they'll do an autopsy. The family of the nanny probably would have wanted an autopsy regardless if they thought that he was guilty. So obviously, it was very plausible that he didn't do it; that she legitimately tripped and fell. So I would think the odds would be in favor that he did not kill her.
Okay,
not plus 800 or minus, but I would think it would be minus. He did kill her is probably, plus 100, plus 150. And the fact that he didn't kill her is probably minus, 125 to 200.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
I'm willing to bet you $25.
No, because
I'll keep it light. I'll keep it light and simple.
No, we're not going to bet anything.
I'm willing to bet you $25 that he had a role. He played a role in that nanny dying.
No, I'm not going to bet that, because we're not going to know for years.
I will bet you.
I'm not betting anything.
I will bet you a round of flaming hot jelly bellies.
No, because I'm not going to keep track of that. And then in 2 years, you're like, oh, hey, here you go.
It's real simple.
That doesn't make sense.
It's not going to take that long. They're going to exhume that body.
It takes a while to be able to
exhume a body. And we're going to know.
Yeah.
We'll know within 90 days.
No, we won't.
You don't think so?
No.
How long does it take to find something like that out? We'd have to actually Google that, because they could move pretty quick, especially if the lawyer wins on this speedy trial shit. If he wins doing that, they're going to need to hurry the process up. So I don't think it's going to be that long at all till we find out if he played a role in that nanny's death.
I will.
It's definitely a bet that we could pay off. You're just afraid to take it.
No, I don't want to take it because I don't want the time frames too long. We're
what
not
does that
going
mean?
to find out in a year, because
we're still going to be doing the show.
No, because you have to wait until he's actually found guilty or innocent, even if they press charges. So that's going to take a long time, because one, he might already be in jail.
We have nothing but time.
Yeah. Well, no, we're not betting on this. Because we're a true crime podcast. We're not a sports betting podcast. Okay, so we're not doing it.
We'll save it for the end of the show, for the non-true crime part.
We're not even doing that. We're squashing it right now, and you just have to admit that he probably didn't have.
No, I'm not going to admit
he
that
probably didn't. He probably didn't have a role in the.
I believe that he
absolutely. No,
I
he
believe
didn't.
he absolutely did.
No, he didn't.
Authorities in Michigan said that they are investigating an apparent murder-suicide that left 4 family members dead nearly 2 weeks after a judge denied one of the relatives a protection order. The Roscommon County Sheriff's Department identified the dead as Tierney Lee Savage. She's 35. Her husband, Bo Eugene Savage, who's 35. Her son, Dayton Cowdrey, who's 13. And her mother, Kim Lynette Ebright, who is 58. The sheriff's office reported that during the early morning of July 10, deputies from the department responded to a home in Houghton Lake, about 125 miles north of Lansing, after 2 people reported finding 4 bodies in the house. They were residential subdivision friends of Tierney Savage. Deputies found all 4 victims inside the home, determined they died from apparent gunshot wounds. According to the sheriff's office, called the crime scene horrific and senseless. Officials said that they believe the quadruple homicide is an isolated incident and no further danger to the community exists. Lowe did not identify the shooter, but on Thursday, today, told USA Today the incident is being investigated as a murder-suicide. Now get this, Vegas. They also told the USA Today the sheriff's office had previously responded to that home for domestic-related incidents. Lowe said that he could not release additional information due to the pending investigation. There was a long-term relationship involved, and we did have prior dealings with this couple. It would not be prudent to comment on those issues until the investigation is complete. On June 23rd, Tierney Savage filed for an order of protection in Michigan's 34th Circuit Court, claiming her husband recently bought a gun and repeatedly threatened suicide and refused to leave the family's home. She also wrote in the petition that her husband was threatening to kill or harm her. Quote, "I do not want my safety or my son's safety in jeopardy," end quote. 3 days later, a judge denied her petition, claiming, quote, "insufficient evidence of a showing of immediate and irreparable injury, loss, or damage." The judge, whose name is Troy Daniel, wrote that the woman could request a restraining order in divorce court. So what did she do? On July 7, 3 days before she was murdered, the woman filed for divorce. The case remained under investigation. On Thursday, a sheriff's spokeswoman told USA Today. An autopsy will determine the victim's cause and manner of death, although I believe we can put 2 and 2 together. So, Vegas, I found this story interesting, and I wanted us to talk about it because I want to ask you this question. Should there be some sort of repercussions to Judge Troy Daniel?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely, there should be.
No, there shouldn't be.
Because the deaths of this woman and her son and the mother are on this guy's hands.
No.
Absolutely.
No, they're not.
Yeah, this is what happens when you don't take people.
No, because you're jumping at the feels. You're jumping at because the guy killed his family, supposedly, allegedly.
She was right.
Okay, but that doesn't matter.
She wrote, he
That
is threatening
doesn't-
to kill me.
That doesn't matter.
It does matter.
No, it has to do with facts. It has to do with evidence. If you went and said, "Oh, Vegas is threatening to kill me," and then they say, "Okay, you're just because you said it, it's a he said, she said, a he said. That's not good enough in court. You have to prove it. She did not prove it.
Well,
Yes.
now she's dead.
Well, okay.
Okay.
Fine.
So Troy
yes,
Daniel
hindsight
should
is
fall
no.
on a little bit of a sword
No,
here.
absolutely not.
Oh, come on.
No, because you're saying that every judge anywhere in the country that says that you don't have evidence or enough evidence. Okay. Now, if something else comes out that says that she has him on tape threatening her,
They were.
Listen.
They were called. Did you not hear when I said that the cops had been to that house? There's
Okay.
been domestic
Yes.
issues at that house.
that does yes,
So
but
there has been a history.
no domestic issues, but we don't know what the cops see. You're jumping to conclusions. We have no idea what the police reports said, because the judge has to go on police reports. Okay, he can't just go on. Oh, well, the cops were there for a domestic. Okay, great. You have that. But what did the cops put in the police report? Because ultimately the judge wasn't there. He has to. So maybe the cops said, called to blah, blah, blah. Woman denied anything. Nothing happened. No report or blah, blah, blah. Whatever the reports say, that's what the judge has to go by. Obviously, if something comes out that says that she had bruises on her neck and he hit her and this and that, then yes, the judge deserves to have something leveled against him. But until that happens, you cannot say that this judge, that their blood is on his hands because he denied a restraining order. Many judges deny restraining orders. You have to have proof. I can't just go get a restraining order against my ex-wife because she's a see you next Tuesday. I can't do that, can I? No, I can't, because there's no proof. So you're telling me that any woman or man,
when there have been and I don't know how many times, but they
maybe it was just once,
that they've previously have responded to the home for domestic related incidents.
okay.
So it is a plural word on the word incident. It is not one incident. There's been multiple.
Okay.
And this woman says he recently bought a gun,
Okay.
which I'm sure the judge could have, if he bought it legally, could have found out. Or he could have bought
obviously
it,
he bought it legally.
or he could have bought it illegally.
Well, I'm assuming he bought it legally.
So
I'm
that
sure
would be
the judge,
assumption.
the judge would find that out. I'm sure. Okay.
So
he bought a gun. Nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing illegal about it if he did it legally.
His denial of the petition, claiming insufficient evidence of a showing of immediate and irreparable injury, loss, or damage.
Exactly. So the judge thought,
and he was wrong.
obviously,
So that's what I'm saying.
Obviously,
So, like,
hindsight's
when-
2020.
But that's what I'm saying, though. When you fuck up, are you not to be held accountable for your actions?
But how? See, you can't go hindsight.
I'm not saying hindsight.
You are, because you're saying, well, he fucked up. No, he didn't.
It's like when the judge lets the one guy out. He's like, oh, no, you know what? You're okay. You're free to go. And then the guy goes and he kills somebody. And they're like, well, the judge just had him fucking 24 hours earlier and he let him out and he went and killed someone. Does the judge not? So the judges can make all kinds of decisions and not have to face any repercussions for any of their own decisions. That's what you're telling me. They never have to face the fucking music about anything.
I'm not saying that. If it comes out what the evidence the judge had, okay, whatever it may be, if the evidence comes out that the judge fucked up, that he had sufficient evidence to grant a restraining order and he didn't, then yes, he should face something. But as of right now, no, he shouldn't face anything. He's going to have to live. He has to live the rest of his life knowing that he didn't grant this person, a restraining order, which again wouldn't have stopped the killing anyway. So let's just gloss over that fact. There's no guarantee that just because you get a restraining order, how many restraining orders are broken per day? Probably thousands. Okay, so the judge has no issues as far as I'm concerned in this ruling, unless something comes out that he really had the evidence and just said, I don't think he deserves to get a restraining order against him. And the fact that you're crucifying this judge because it ended up being the wrong decision. Okay.
Well, I mean, it's not like he made the wrong decision and somebody lost a few $100. Like, he made a decision and people lost lives.
A lot of people do that.
I don't.
If you're gonna say that, then like this Uvalde school, these officers at the Uvalde school didn't do anything.
Oh, yeah, they should. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody needs to fall on an axe. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. At that point, because you have evidence of them sitting around doing nothing while the kids are getting butchered.
At some point, though, judges should not be allowed to get away with, well, that's the decision I made. It's like if we could argue balls and strikes with an umpire, we can argue whether or not this guy made a mistake and if he should have to. I'm not saying that we should hang him in town square, but he should face some sort of something.
Okay.
If it comes out, because they can't talk about it now because of the ongoing investigation. But we have evidence of domestic related incidents.
But we don't know what. Just you could call 911 and
we don't.
But I'm saying you could call 911 on your wife and say, "Hey, she's beating the shit out of me," and they come here and they find no evidence of that. But now there's a history of domestic violence in your household, but there wasn't really any. But there's an evidence of a police report. You have to go in the police report and see what it says. And if it says that he beat her, she had bruises, whatever, then obviously the judge fucked up. And I agree with you. The judge should face some sort of consequences. But you can't just, put him out there and say this dude deserves punishment when you don't have all the facts. And that's what you did with the last guy, the murder of the housekeeper. You did the same thing. You said he needs to, atone for that. He killed her. Well, no, you don't know that.
I said chances are he did.
Yeah, chances are that because you have, no evidence that he did, and the police already determined that he didn't, or at least didn't have enough evidence at the time.
Well, and that very well may be the case, but at the end of the day, they're still going to dig that bitch up to double check it.
Well, he's probably going away for life for killing his wife and his kid.
I hope so,
and for the financial crimes on top of it.
It sounds like you're gonna become his pen pal in the big house.
I might. He's probably smarter than me. Obviously, killing someone's not very smart, but he should. First of all, if he killed his housekeeper, he should have never killed again. Because if he got away with that, if they didn't charge him with that, they did charge him with the taking the money.
Well, this could be a first. This might be a first. A murder charge in a suicide. The latest development in the case of Casey White. Now, for those of you who don't remember Casey White, he's a one-time fugitive charged with the killing the jailer who helped him escape. Is a first for many legal minds. Do you remember this story?
I do.
Aided by Lauderdale County Assistant Director of Corrections Vicky White, who was 56, to whom she was not related to Casey White, so she wouldn't have had to change her name at all. Casey White is 38. He escaped in April, spurring an 11-day manhunt, which ended in a May 9 car chase in Indiana. When police apprehended Casey White, they found Vicky White had suffered a gunshot wound to the head, and she died later at a hospital, and the coroner ruled her death a suicide. Yet, this past Monday, Casey White was served with an arrest warrant on a felony murder charge. The indictment, according to court docs, alleged while committing the crime of first-degree escape, Casey White, quote, caused the death of Vicky White, end quote. Casey White intends to plead not guilty at his arraignment. When lawyers think of a felony murder, they often think of a scenario in which, for example, a robber accidentally kills a bystander in a shootout with police, or perhaps a getaway driver kills a pedestrian during his or her escape. Alabama's code states first-degree escape is one of many precursors to felony murder if, quote, in the course of and in furtherance of the crime that he or she is committing or attempting to commit, or an immediate flight therefrom, he or she, or another participant, if there be any, causes the death of any person. Casey White's 5-person legal team, which includes 2 lawyers who have handled hundreds of murder cases in Alabama, has never encountered such a case. We believe this is the first time we've encountered this issue, said co-counsel Marcus Helstowski. They're not the only ones. Richard Jaff represented Olympic Park bomber Eric Rudolph, along with the scores of other clients facing the death penalty in state and federal murder cases, 22 of which he ushered through trial. He's never heard of a case like this one. If we are zeroing in on suicide, I've never heard of that. I know of none. The same holds true for Tiffany Agee, a Birmingham-based lawyer, professor in Miles Law School in Fairfield. Logically, how can I intentionally cause something that requires you to do it to yourself? She asked. Her research yielded 2 cases involving suicide pacts, but none of those cases is almost, but one of those cases is almost 70 years old, and the other was my God, what a word, adjudicated more than a century ago. Agee did find a case from the 1980s, which the Alabama Court of Criminal Appeals reversed the guilty verdict of a man convicted of criminally negligent homicide on the basis of the suicide of his friend's brother, which occurred when the victim continued to play Russian roulette after the defendant had quit and put the gun away. So, Vegas, this is a new one. Casey White is now facing a murder charge because Vicky White killed herself. And according to Alabama law, this could happen.
I mean, they're stretching it. I would think it'd be very hard to convict this guy on that, because you're telling, I mean, I get if the kill a bystander, or you run into a car and someone dies or something like that, if you're getting into a chase, but you're telling, and the only way I could see the prosecution going this way, and you'll never actually know because Vicky's dead, but is if he convinced her, like brainwashed her into doing it herself or something to that effect, but it's going to be impossible to prove because she's dead. So I think they're just trying to get in the spotlight again, to be honest. They're trying to right a wrong because somebody in Alabama effed up and they escaped. Somebody didn't pick up on something happened. So I think they're trying to right a wrong here. He's already going to be in prison for a long time anyway. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like
tacking on at this point.
Yeah, like he escaped, he ran across state lines and stuff like that. So I don't think he's getting out anytime soon. Plus, he was already in jail for life or something, wasn't he? I don't know exactly what he was in jail for to begin with, but he still got that sentence. So I think they're grasping at straws.
In Alabama, prosecutors would actually have an easier case if police had accidentally killed the former jailer during the pursuit. That works for felony murder in Alabama. To prove that it was foreseeable and that someone was going to commit suicide, that's a stretch.
Exactly. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Asked if he had seen any evidence Vicky White did not commit suicide, Lowe said prosecutors handed over their discovery Tuesday, and reviewing discovery in any murder case typically takes hours and hours. The legal team has requested a copy of Vicky White's autopsy report. It said in a statement, "We want to see the autopsy report because the autopsy report will be a key piece of evidence. We want to show members of the jury why she died and how she died," he said, explaining that he wouldn't discuss trial strategy and was barred from discussing certain details of the case. It is important for the jury to see and understand. Vicky White's mother could not be reached for her reaction to the charges. A woman answering the phone at a number linked to the mother hung up when a reporter asked to speak with her. So they called the right house. At the time of the escape, Casey White was already serving a 75-year prison sentence for a crime spree in 2015, which included home invasion and carjacking. Casey White, who stands accused of murder in a separate case, the 2015 stabbing of Connie Ridgway in Rogersville, he initially confessed, authorities said, before recanting, just kidding. He was awaiting trial when authorities say he and Vicky White left Lauderdale County Detention Center on April 29 in what they described as a well-planned escape. Ridgway's son, Austin Williams, has been informed Casey White will stand trial in his mother's slaying at the end of the year. Earlier this year, Williams described his mom as a sweet, patriotic woman who never forgot birthdays. During an interview with CNN, it's an odd way to remember somebody.
Never patriotic and never forget a birthday?
She loved America, and she remembered your birthday. All right.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's already got a 75-year prison sentence.
And they're going to tack on more for that one.
Well, yeah, plus he's going to go to trial for murder again.
Yeah.
Not again, but another murder.
So they're going to tack on 25 at least, right?
Well, 25 to life.
Yeah, so now you're looking at this guy being locked away for 100 years.
And then you're going to charge him with the murder again. Like
Vicky White, we're going to tack on another 25.
Again, that's why I think that they're just trying to save face because somebody effed up, something happened. Because ultimately, I mean, unless you're just going for the victim's mother, I guess I don't know if it's a victim. I mean,
she's not a victim.
That's what I'm saying. She's not a victim.
She ran off,
and she killed herself. So
I think she killed herself because she didn't want to face the bullshit that was going to come with it.
I think so. That's usually why you do that.
You're that much of a loser to run off with a guy who's doing 75 years,
and then you don't get away with it. So you're like, I'm going to kill myself because I don't want to
caught
because you're a corrections officer and you don't want to. You don't want to because if correction officers go to prison, I mean, she's going to get her ass kicked.
Vicky White, that was a bitch move.
It was a bitch move.
That was a bitch move, Vicky.
We need an audio clip
of what?
Of somebody or even just recording or even just recording yourself. Be like, that's a bitch move. And then I could just play it every time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they're just grasping at straws with this case. He's going away forever anyway. I mean, so that's just my opinion. I don't think you need it.
Oh yeah. It sounds like at the end of all this, he'll be doing, 125 years.
Yeah, and he's already, 60-something, 50-something?
No, he's 38.
Is he?
He
looks old as hell.
Yeah, a California woman was caught on video. Now, we don't have the video, but we do have an image up if you are watching on YouTube. A California woman was caught on video setting a man on fire at a local park. Vegas, I would love to set you on fire.
I'm sure you would.
Patricia Castillo, she's 48, doused her victim with gasoline as he lay on the grass in a park in Sanger near Fresno shortly after 9 p.m. Then she set the man on fire. The video shows Castillo approaching the victim and throwing a liquid from a cup onto him. And she and the victim appear to argue before Castillo sparks a lighter and lights him on fire. The victim was rushed to the local hospital with non-threatening injuries. Castillo has been charged with attempted murder, arson, and conspiracy. Police said a second person, Leonard Hawkins, was also arrested. What did he do? He allegedly provided the gasoline to Castillo. It is not immediately clear what Hawkins was charged with. Police have not said if Castillo and the victim knew each other or what the motive was. A spokesman for the Sanger Police Department said this past Sunday that the incident remains under investigation. But it is not very often where you see a story where a woman set a man on fire at the park. Now, I'll tell you this, for those of you who are maybe unfamiliar with that part of California, it is not surprising that this story comes from that part of California. It's a little ghetto. Just a little bit. Vegas, if I knew I could not face attempted murder charges, I would set you on fire.
Yeah.
Why don't you and I have a flaming table wrestling match?
Yeah.
And then hopefully one of us will catch on fire.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
I
Yeah.
actually did have one when I was a kid. I actually did catch on fire and I had to roll around on the
That
ground to
explains
put
a
the
lot.
fire out.
Yeah. The only thing that I think about this case is, I don't know about you, but if I'm laying in the park, it's 9:00 at night. First of all, why are you laying in the park at 9:00 at night?
Chances are they're probably homeless.
He's probably homeless, I would assume. That's what my assumption be.
Yeah.
But
it is Fresno.
yeah, well,
but
yeah.
he's probably homeless.
So homeless or not, you're just laying there,
chilling.
and then and somebody throws gasoline. Obviously,
it's like a Sunday night. You're trying to unwind.
Yeah,
maybe a busy week.
Some lady comes up. She's probably not silent. She's probably yelling at you. She throws gas on you. My first inclination would be, I'm not going to argue with her. I'm going to run the fuck away.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to run away because I have gasoline on me.
You have to smell it.
Right? I mean, gas is a very strong smell.
Yeah.
Then you're going to be like, well, I'm going to be here and I'm going to start arguing with people.
Yeah.
And then what are you going to do? I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously the guy's not going to die because it says non-life threatening, but
he's on fire.
But yeah, he's on fire.
You see it right there. That guy's on fire. He's on fire. I should have got the NBA Jam soundbite for this story. Just dawned on me right now.
He's on fire.
He's on fire. Did you ever play NBA Jam?
Oh, all the time.
And that was the thing, man. When your guy made a bunch of baskets in a row, he's on fire, and then that flaming ball would go up in the air and go right through the net and burn the net up.
I always got mad because Michael Jordan wasn't in it, so it was Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant for the Bulls.
Well, you should be mad at Jordan for that.
Well, I know it's Jordan's fault, but I'm just saying I was mad at the time because I didn't know at the time. I was young.
Yeah. Every week on this show, before we end the true crime part of the podcast and we let Joey Vegas take over for the last couple of minutes, we cover a cold case. I like to end this part of the podcast with a cold case because I feel like cold cases bring smiles to faces, warm families' hearts, and make them finally put those chapters to rest. To rest. Is that what I said?
Yeah, it sounded like what you said.
So I have a cold case here out of Georgia.
Oh, excellent.
All
a lot
right.
of Georgia news.
It is 1999.
I was a sophomore in high school. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
And a 6-year-old boy in Georgia is found dead in a comatary.
A what?
In a comatary.
What is a comatary?
No idea. Can you Google it for me?
I'm going to Google. I thought you were going to say coma or cemetery, but it's a comatary.
Yeah, it's a comatary. I don't know what that
I'm going to look it up.
All right.
Comatary?
Yeah, Cometary. And this is where we play the Jeopardy theme. Do 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 do.
Yeah. Comatary.
Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
I mean, that's
do do do.
Cometary.
Do do. Boom.
Is that?
Yeah.
Apparently, a cometary is an adjective of or relating to or resembling a comet.
Right. So he was found dead in a comet.
I mean, a modest cometary fragment would produce a great radiant fireball. So, what?
I don't know.
I mean, that's what I'm getting.
Could they have meant a cemetery?
I would, yeah, because, cometary, there's no way.
That's how this is written. Georgia authorities have identified a 6-year-old Georgia boy found dead in a cometary in 1999.
It's got to be cemetery.
As William Deshaun Hamilton. There was a tipster whom the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children identified only as Ava. Upon her request to remain anonymous, knew the boy when the boy lived in Charlotte, North Carolina in 1998. We now know who killed William Deshaun Hamilton. Vegas, do you want to know who killed William Deshaun Hamilton?
Yes, I do.
His mother.
Oh, of course.
This case is a perfect example of why we never give up, Angeline Hartman said. She's the director of the NCMEC. For more than 2 decades, a woman in Charlotte followed her gut feeling that something wasn't right. She made phone calls. She scoured the internet and talked to anybody who would listen. We are grateful she never stopped until she found that rendering of William online, this rendering that you're looking at, and gave investigators the missing piece to solve this 23-year-old mystery. Vegas.
Yes.
We still don't know what a cometary means.
I'm assuming they meant cemetery.
Teresa Ann Bailey Black. That's right. Teresa Ann Bailey Black. She is now...
yeah. It says, this article says remains were found near a cemetery.
Okay.
So they did not know, they did not proofread
There's
that article.
no editing.
No editing in that article.
This article is from Fox News. So, there you go.
A local Fox News affiliate.
Teresa Ann Bailey Black is charged with felony murder, 2 counts of cruelty to children, aggravated assault, and concealing the death of another. Ava was close to Black in 1998, would take care of William before he went missing. He liked to crack jokes. Ava said of the boy, he did like to draw a lot, color, mainly read books. He didn't want you to read to him. He wanted to read to you. Investigators determined that Black had left Charlotte with William and returned without the 6-year-old. More than 20 years following Ava's tip, Bode Technology provided DNA work to NCMEC, which allowed investigators to confirm William's identity. Authorities arrested Black at her home in Phoenix, AZ, and she is awaiting extradition to Georgia, according to the DeKalb County District Attorney's Office. The DeKalb County DA's office is asking anyone who knew Black or her son William between 1998 and 1999 in the metro Atlanta area are to call their cold case tip line at 404-371-2444. But there you go, Vegas. This little boy, this cute little boy, William Deshaun Hamilton, was found dead in a cometary.
Cemetery.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's weird because you don't hear anything about like his family, his other family, like his dad. What happened? Like, is his dad already dead? Was he already dead before? Like before he went to? Because like usually there's a missing person. There's a if I had a kid, right? Somebody would know that I had a child.
Yeah.
Whether it's the mother or the mother's family, somebody knows something. So the fact that the mother is the one that allegedly killed him shocks me. That and it was the 90s, so I understand DNA and stuff isn't what it is now, but it wasn't. It's not like it was the 60s or 50s, where we had nothing.
Yeah,
the 90s you had something like that. Nobody thought that the mother was involved. The mother wasn't questioned. That I don't understand. Or did they just not know that this was the boy? But then they don't know it's the boy. That's fine.
They didn't have the remains. They just identified the remains.
So they just found him. But nobody knew that he was missing for this many years, over 30 years. Nobody knew.
Georgia authorities have identified a 6-year-old Georgia boy who was found dead in a cemetery in 1999 as William Deshaun Hamilton.
Yeah, so he was found in 1999.
They did not know who he was in 1999.
Oh, okay. But still,
and they've charged his mother with in connection to his killing. So who knows? The father could have been involved.
So it's connection. So she might not be the murderer.
Correct.
She just is
But
connected.
we just identified the boy. We had no idea who the boy was.
Because obviously when kids are younger, like now if you or I die, our DNA is everywhere. We've put our DNA everywhere, especially me, especially in strip clubs.
Especially.
But other than that, I mean, the 6-year-old boys don't have a lot of DNA around. They're not in the system, even though they technically are when you're born. Personally, I think when you're born, they should collect your DNA and it should be in a file. Honestly, I don't know what you think about that, but I think if you're born, your DNA goes in like a database.
Do they do that now?
I don't think so. They should, But they say, well, because you didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, but no. But in cases like this, you take the DNA, you check it with the system, boom, you got a match, you're ready to go. You know who did it. You don't have cold cases anymore. I mean, as far as identifying people, that's what I think you should do.
We have a new podcast. Well, not a new podcast, but we have a podcast that's new to us that we want you to check out. Take a listen to this.
Reverie. The state of being pleasantly lost in one's thoughts. A daydream. But what if those daydreams turn to nightmares? Reverie True Crime shines a light on the dark tragedies that have happened and are continuing to happen all throughout the world. We interview and work with families to bring awareness to forms of injustice. We explore the depths of cases from around the world to include missing persons, mysteries, and more. Reverie True Crime is found wherever you're listening to this podcast. Remember, you don't have to live in fear, but stay aware of your surroundings. Stay safe and take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt our program to bring you a special bulletin.
Listen up. It's time for Ragin' Rob's Music Minute.
You do want to be a part of that, don't you?
Yeah!
It's Ragin' Rob with your Music Minute. Well, folks, there is a whole lot of shit going on in the music industry right now. I tell you what, I've been looking through stories and stuff, and it is just a bunch of garbage. Shit that nobody should care about or ever want to care about. But you know what? The big thing that's going on right now this week, it actually just went around the world yesterday. It's the reunion, well, not reunion, but Phil Anselmo and Rex Brown of Pantera. Everybody knows the huge, successful band, rock metal band of the 90s, Pantera. Well, it was announced that they will be touring in 2023. There is no word yet on who will be filling in for the departed Abbott brothers, Vinnie Paul and Dimebag Darrell. There's a lot of mixed reaction out there. I mean, obviously, everybody should know by now I'm a huge metalhead. Love Pantera, one of the top bands of all time. For me, this feels like a money grab for Phil. I don't think anybody could ever replace Dimebag. Definitely not Vinnie Paul. So I wouldn't even call him a replacement. I call it a fill-in. But yeah, look for a certain version of Pantera, if you even want to call them that. Sometime in 2023, they will be touring. So get excited for that, or don't. I'll wait to see who's going to be filling in before I find out. And there have been rumors for years about Zakk Wylde, of Ozzy Osbourne and Black Label Society. He's talked about in the past wanting to fill in, but it sounds like he will not be the one. But you never know. We will see what happens. Also, in some pointless interview with Kevin Hart, who isn't funny, Jay-Z tells him that he is not retired from the music business. He just has no plans on making music or an album anytime soon. So yeah, Jay-Z is not retired if you care about that. Also, Bruce Springsteen has announced a U.S. World Tour that will kick off in the fall, I believe. So yeah, I mean, all honesty, the music industry right now is just a bunch of garbage. I have a headache just reading pointless, stupid fucking stories. So that has been your Music Minute. Fucking rage. Lizzo sucks.
Oh, thank you very much, Ragin' Rob, for that Music Minute.
Party shots. You got little party shots in there.
There at the end, there's on Lizzo, who I agree. She does suck.
Yeah, and I definitely don't think Pantera should be going on tour because it's not really Pantera.
So this is part of the podcast that I turn over to Vegas and let him do all the talking.
It's arguably the best 15 minutes of the podcast.
This better not be 15 minutes.
Oh, it's going to be 30 minutes. I'm going to make it 30 minutes. I wanted to do a birthday, just one birthday. Happy birthday to Vincent Pastore. He's of The Sopranos. He's 76, just because we recently lost Paulie Walnuts last week. He was laid to rest yesterday. I didn't know his brother was a priest, though. Paulie Walnuts, priest in New York. But he is. He, presided over the funeral. It's kind of touching. Now, have you ever wondered, Ford, what the optimum length of toilet paper is when you go to wipe your butt after
Yes.
going to the bathroom? Well, that's good because I have your answer. They actually did some research years ago to determine how much toilet paper is ideal. Now, the researchers at Kimberly-Clark, because, when you think of toilet paper, you think of Kimberly-Clark, concluded the best length is about 20 inches. You ask how much that is? Well, that's 5 standard toilet paper squares. The length offers just the right balance of usability and eco-friendliness. So you don't go clogging up that toilet, hopefully, with
How
the
many
toilet
squares?
paper. 5.
5 squares.
Standard. 5 standard, not jumbo. Write that down.
All right.
And speaking of toilet paper, apparently in Hong Kong, a man was arrested for stealing policewoman's underwear. That's right. He was sentenced to 30 months in jail. He's a 33-year-old janitor. He had access to the undies at the police station where he worked. And at the time of his arrest, yes, that's correct, he was wearing ladies' underwear that he had stolen.
They gave him how long?
30 months.
For stealing underwear, folks.
In Hong Kong.
For stealing underwear, they sentenced him to 30 months for stealing underwear. And people want to complain about America. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of months just for stealing women's underwear. And what he was wearing, and maybe that had something to do with it, because that's kind of weird. Happy birthday, and another big, huge birthday shout out.
You only said you're on one.
One person's birthday. Happy birthday, 7-Eleven. That right this past week, or this week, 7-Eleven is 95 years old.
Did you know how, did you hear how that one California gangbanger celebrated?
Yeah, he
Went
went and
around
killed a bunch of
robbing
people.
'em? Yeah.
Robbing and killing people.
Yeah.
Yeah, the convenience store chain was founded this week in 1927 as an ice house storefront in Dallas, Texas. It began selling milk, eggs, and bread, which those are the essentials.
Did not take advantage of the free Slurpee.
Did not at that time because it did not
No,
have
I'm about
Slurpee.
to talk about this year.
Oh, you did not? Yeah, no, I didn't either because I'm not a real huge Slurpee fan. A lot of sugar. Just not good. It was named Totem Stores between 1928 and 1946. And in 1946, in an effort to continue the company's post-war recovery, the name of the franchise was changed to 7-Eleven to reflect the store's new hours of operation, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., which were unprecedented at the time, apparently. I was not alive then. In 1963, I was also not alive. 7-Eleven experimented with a 24-hour schedule in Austin, Texas, after the Austin store stayed open all night to satisfy customer demand, or people that were really drunk. 7-Eleven operates franchises and licenses. There is 78,029, so 78,029 stores in 19 countries. And if you really wanted to know, I can definitely vouch for this. The best 7-Eleven stores are in Japan. So if you're ever over in Japan, definitely go to the 7-Eleven stores because they are 100, if not 1,000 times better than the ones here.
Yeah, and they're convenience stores, but they're convenience stores with class.
Yes, you walk in there.
Japan.
Yeah, you walk in there. You can get your hot food. You can get sushi.
And
which
people
you like.
eat it.
Oh, and it's delicious.
Yes, people eat the food at a 7-Eleven, and we're not talking about the American style with the hot dogs going around on the spinning wheel for 6 hours.
No.
And then you go in there, your hot dog is rubber. We're talking about sushi, people.
And the sushi, when we went there, I don't eat sushi, obviously, but everybody else that I went with did. The 7-Eleven in our hotel room, you had to get there early because it would sell out in an hour. And they would have to restock later in the day.
7-Elevens with class in Japan. Can't wait to go back.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully they open up sometime soon for people other than work visas. Now, I am a big proponent of this because I am a very hot-blooded person. I'm very hot. I'm very, when it comes to in the house and air conditioning. I don't like to be hot. Now, I would rather be cold than hot, so this is what I do. I turn my air conditioning down. Well, apparently, there's a perfect AC setting for your home in the summer. According to the Department of Energy, which I don't put a lot of stock in because they want you to save money, they don't really care about how you feel, 78 degrees is the right setting to balance savings and comfort. Again, with the savings, who gives a crap? If you can afford it, turn it down to 50 if that's what you like. The Department of Energy says you should set your thermostat to 78 when you're home, 85 when you're at work or away, and 82 when you're sleeping. You're high as hell.
82.
Yeah, 82 when you're sleeping.
In Alaska?
Yeah, 85 when you're not home. Yeah, so when you come home, it's 85 degrees. Yeah,
Feels like an oven
yeah, okay.
because you got it all windowed, closed up. So you come home and it's an oven?
Yeah, I mean, this
I don't
isn't,
think so.
I mean, in the desert, when it's 112 and 85 would probably feel nice.
Yeah.
But when it's, 80 degrees outside, 85 is not nice.
I don't even have ACs on it.
Nah, well, we don't in Huntington Beach. Now, summer's over. I hate to tell you, Ford, summer's coming over August 1st. According to a survey.
It feels like it just started.
I know. June 21st was the summer solstice. Well, August 1st, it's over.
It's over. It doesn't even make any sense.
According to a survey.
How is summer like a month and a half long? It's impossible.
I don't know, but according to many of us, feel that August 1st marks the end of summer. Around 60% of people find that summer is over.
Come on, people.
August 1st.
It'll be better.
Vacation plans into June and July because August 1st feels like a transition day, where parents have to get their kids ready for going back to school and college, and some employers begin expecting staff to ramp back up for the regular work weeks. I don't know about you, but regular work weeks, unless it's Christmas, there's a regular work week.
If you're watching this show on YouTube, oh, by the way, thank you, Vegas.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. No problem.
If you're watching the show on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and don't forget to like the video. Also, if you're on the go, you can subscribe to this show as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And if you are listening to the podcast, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And if you want to watch this show, you can do so at FordInVegas.com. Just click on the YouTube link. This show in podcast form is ad-free for just $3 a month, which goes to supporting the show. Simply go to patreon.com/FV True Crime. That's Ford Vegas True Crime. FV True Crime. And if you want to buy a Ford in Vegas shirt, you can do so at shopfordinvegas.com. For the ladies and the men out there, we recommend selecting the premium soft tee. It's the highest quality. And you can follow this show on Twitter and Instagram at FV True Crime. For Vegas, I'm Ford. We'll see you guys next week.
Goodbye.